Welcome to another episode of Chef Knives to Go Quick Look Product Reviews. I'm Steve Gamache, and in this version we are checking out a full stainless knife. This is the Takayuki Damascus AEB-L Gyuto 210mm knife. The core steel is AEB-L stainless, which is a very fine-grained, easy to sharpen, high-quality stainless steel. The heat treat rating is about 60 Rockwell on that core steel, so they don't heat treat it too hard, so this knife has a little bit of forgiveness built in compared to some Japanese knives with even harder steel. The construction is a stainless steel cladding over the top of that AEB-L with a Damascus pattern to it, and also they've done some hammering to it, which is also known as a tsushime finish. So it's got a lot of things going on here, and aesthetically it's a very interesting presentation. The weight on the knife is pretty light. It's 140 grams or 4.9 ounces, so it's a little under 5 ounces. And the blade length, these will vary just a little bit. This one was 217 on the edge, so a little oversized, a little over 8.5 inches on the edge, and the overall length was about 14.4. The spine thickness, these are pretty thin blades. Coming out of the handle above the back of the edge was about 1.8 millimeters. And these don't have a lot of distal taper, so they pretty much maintain most of that thickness all the way through till you'll hit the grind of the blade. So they thin out pretty decently at the tip, but it's not what I'd call a lot of distal taper with a real high performance tip, although the tip does pretty well through stuff. It's got a little bit of a beef to it right behind that tip. The blade height is 46.3 millimeters in this particular sample, and their handle is octagonal, although the bottom has a curve to it, so some might call this an octoval. I've heard it called that as well. So it's got a slight hint of octagonal on the bottom, but a little bit more of a curve or oval to it. It's a real comfortable handle, actually. And so it's a hoe wood, just basic wood with a buffalo horn ferrule. Slight step in the junction here between the wood and the buffalo horn, but nothing objectionable. You could sand that down if you wanted to. And the hoe wood has a little bit smoother of a finish than you get in some knives, so it's a nice feel to the handle. The size is about 3 inches in circumference right here where the ferrule meets the wood. Pretty standard size. And these have a fairly wide neck on them, but the height gives you enough board clearance with a pinch grip with no problem. For most people, it shouldn't be an issue. Balance point on these guys. It's a pretty light handle, so you get a little bit of a weight forward balance point right about there. And so that's just slightly in front of a pinch grip, so it gives you just a little bit of a sense of blade weight, enough to kind of give you a little extra power, because it is a pretty lightweight knife. So actually I kind of like that because it gives you just a little sense of some mass to the blade. The presentation that they do on this line of knives is a screened-on kanji and Made in Japan logo. And then you can see they've got a fairly decent polish to the blade. There's your tsushime or hammered finish flowing into where the grind of the blade starts, showing the layering down to where the core steel peeks through. This is, again, an all stainless blade. Fit and finish is done quite well. You've got a little bit of a relief on the spine and polish, and a little bit on the back of the choil as well. I wouldn't say there's a lot of metal smoothed out there. You could probably clean that up a little bit if you wanted to, but I'd say it's ready to go out of the box. It's had a pretty good out of the box edge on. I'll give it a good 6 out of 10. Not a super high polish to it, but it's a well executed bevel, and I'd say it's pretty well ready to go out of the box. If you don't know how to sharpen, if you do, go ahead and tweak it a little bit to your particular liking. Edge retention should be pretty decent on these knives. AEB-L is good edge retention, not stellar, but it's also very easy to sharpen. Let's take a look, let's see, at the thickness down towards the edge. They grind these so they're not super skinny at the edge. Performance is good. I'd say, pretty decent. But they don't get super skinny. So this is a really nice line of knives for somebody that's maybe their first Japanese knife, or in a restaurant situation, a pro situation, maybe a line knife where you want just maybe a little bit extra meat behind the edge. You can't abuse these by any means, but the core steel being not quite as hard as some and not super skinny at the edge of the tip might give you just a little bit more durability. Definitely a little more forgiveness than some Japanese knives with thinner grinds and harder steel. So here's what the edge looks like. Nice job on the profile in terms of being smooth flow from tip to heel. And you can see I can get about right there, not super high, but I can get pretty high before I start digging the tip in. And we have a nice flow into the back. You got a little bit of a back curve at the heel. Our belly, it's not real flat, so kind of a constant curve style. And might work pretty good for push-pull cutting, glide cutting, definitely rocking, not like pure chopping. So these are attractive knives. They're well constructed, lightweight handle, good fit and finish. AEB-L is really nice steel. Most people think it's a bit of an upgrade from the ubiquitous VG10 that you see in a lot of lines of knives. So a little bit easier to sharpen, less burr retention, and nice edge retention as well for quality stainless steel. So there you have the Takayuki Damascus AEB-L Gyuto 210mm knife.